If you guys stick around to the end of this video, I am going to legit show you what my stomach looks like at 9 months postpartum. So I'm going to make you wait for it, but until then, I'm going to give you my honest opinion about mom bods and what postpartum recovery actually looks like, and then my insight as a physical therapist that works with mainly only moms, what an actual workout looks like that I do myself and what I recommend for moms as they are recovering postpartum. So let's get into it. Number one, postpartum bodies. It's very confusing about what to expect after we have our babies because social media is just filled with lies. Let me just do a little screen share with you right now, and let's just talk about why it's so confusing for us as new moms. So I'm going to my social media page and I'm just going to do a little search of the hashtag 2 weeks postpartum. Let's just try that. Let's just see what comes up. And I am going to record my screen and share it with you guys so we can see live time exactly what the world is saying we look like 2 weeks postpartum. Okay, here we go. So we're looking, okay, we've got 1 day postpartum. Okay, she looks like, you know, still pregnant. Oh, 2 weeks postpartum. She looks completely normal, like completely ripped still. Okay, that's reassuring. Here's a before and after. Now this one I really like because it's basically saying if I tuck my mom belly into my leggings, high-waisted leggings are amazing. I look freaking fantastic. If I don't, well, then I actually look like someone would look 2 weeks postpartum. All right, we've got someone in their bikini here. Hashtag 2 weeks postpartum. Okay, wish I looked like that 2 weeks postpartum. Definitely didn't. Okay, we've got, it's in a different language, but I'm thinking she's saying maybe 9 months pregnant. Because of the hashtag, I'm thinking maybe 2 weeks postpartum. I don't know. If that's what she looks like 2 weeks postpartum, though, good for you, honey. That is definitely not what I look like 2 weeks postpartum. So it's just confusing because we're seeing these things and we're thinking, if that's what they look like 2 weeks postpartum, and I personally am 9 months postpartum, like what the heck is wrong with me? And so I start thinking about what am I eating? What do my workouts look like? Like what am I doing wrong? So just to give you some insight, first of all, I'm still breastfeeding right now at 9 months postpartum, and I don't do any formula. Thankfully, I have been blessed with enough supply to keep my baby well fed, so I'm not doing anything except for milk and then solids, or breast milk and solids. So that's a factor. I'm working out right now 4 days a week. I bumped it up to 4 days a week around, I think about 6 months postpartum. I felt like I'm really ready to start focusing on like movement and exercise, and I've been ramping up gradually with activity. Now I did things earlier than 6 months postpartum, but I didn't start consistently working out 4 days a week, like strength training and all that good stuff until about 6 months postpartum. That's just when I mentally felt ready and found a really good program that I loved. And right now I'm still at that 4 days a week workouts. They're about 40 minutes in length, and I'm going to go over exactly like what the different components of my workouts look like and what I prescribe or what I recommend to people, because there's kind of a formula that I think is ideal. So take it with a grain of salt. That's what I recommend to people. And the other thing is nutrition. I am not on any strict diet at this point because I don't really do diets for one, but also I have a dietitian friend. If you want someone awesome to follow about nutrition on Instagram, she's at The Last Dietitian, and she is just amazing. And I asked her, like, hey, I'm going to be doing a video about like losing weight loss and postpartum body, and what's your like opinion about that? What do you recommend to people? And basically she said, I hate the social media like snap back, bounce back whole thing going on there because it's just like, it's kind of a lie. She said that she also doesn't do diets because she just thinks that it's not a lifestyle change and it's not going to be a lasting change. So these crash diets are not really what she recommends. And she said if she's ever talking to someone about intentional weight loss plans, she doesn't recommend doing that before 3 months postpartum. because you are really trying to get your supply up. You're trying to nourish another life if you're breastfeeding. And your body is doing a whole lot of healing in those first 3 months. So to do some kind of like really calorie cutting nutrition plan could be kind of dangerous or detrimental. And she said, when you are breastfeeding, even if it's been, you know, past those first 3 months, she does not recommend that you do anything that is going to threaten your supply, because basically the first thing on the chopping block, if your body's not getting enough nutrition, is milk, because it's going to take care of you first at this point. When the baby's inside of us, it's all about baby, but once it comes to like breastfeeding and the baby is out in the world, it's definitely going to cut supply if it doesn't have enough nutrition. So you really want to think about that before you start thinking about cutting calories and counting calories. And she also recommended a high fiber, high protein, good carbohydrates such as vegetables that are gonna really hold you over so that you feel full. Because it is true, we burn more calories breastfeeding and we feel hungry a lot. So if we can make the calories that we are consuming really high quality, this is going to curb those cravings a little bit so that we're not eating things that aren't as good for us, like the sugars, the processed foods, and things like that. And I'll be the first to admit I am not perfect on this. I love tortilla chips and I also love dark chocolate chips. So those are pretty much in my diet every day. At this point, I try to do everything in moderation, but at this point, I just have not cut those things. So you should definitely go to a dietitian about a good plan for you, especially if you are breastfeeding. But if you're going to start doing workouts hardcore as well, you want to make sure you're getting enough nutrition to support that muscle growth that's hopefully going to be happening once you start working out. One myth I want to just like debunk right now is that if you breastfeed, you're going to lose your baby weight so quickly. And there was some research done that did show, let me just look up the numbers real quick. Okay, so I have the exact numbers. The study was done and it said women that breastfed for even 3 months were then their weight was looked at 12 months postpartum. And they found that any women that breastfed for even 3 months had on average 3.2 pound more weight loss than those that didn't breastfeed. So you're thinking to yourself maybe, oh my gosh, I've been breastfeeding this whole time and I cannot lose that last 10 pounds. Or I haven't lost nearly any weight. Or I lost a ton of weight, but I still look pregnant. This is where I find myself most of the time. The scale says I'm back to normal or back to pre-baby, because what's normal? But I just still don't look like I did before, and I still look pregnant on most days. And the reason for this is that it has to do with prolactin. So when we're nursing, we have more prolactin in our bodies, and when we do have more prolactin, it changes like the way our body stores fat. So I don't know the nitty-gritty science on this, and I don't want to bore you with it anyways, but basically know that our body is storing fat because it wants to make sure that we can produce enough milk. And so unfortunately that sometimes means we're just going to hang on to that extra weight. And then also there's a lot to do with the stress hormones and cortisol being released. That affects the way that we hold on to weight. I mean, when I was looking up information for this video, I even found that Serena Williams, the tennis player, could not lose all of her baby weight. She was following a vegan, sugar-free diet, and holy moly, like who has more muscle mass and is more active than a professional athlete, right? So sometimes just the way our body works and the way we are storing fat is going to be different after we have babies, and especially while we're still breastfeeding. So please give yourself some grace, because sometimes no matter how hard we work, it's just things are not going to go and be in our favor right away. So definitely give yourself until you're done breastfeeding before you really get cracked down on yourself and get really stringent about calorie counting and food intake and the workouts that you're doing, because you want to make sure if breastfeeding is a goal of yours, you are able to produce the milk that you need to produce. Having diastasis recti, or a split in your abdominal muscles, is another reason why women feel like they don't look the same after they have babies. And basically what it means is there's a separation in your ab muscles. It can be anywhere from, 1 finger to 10 fingers. That's a pretty severe one, and it goes different depths, but basically your abs have not like healed and come back together. The fascia that's supposed to connect everything, the tension isn't there, and so kind of our guts and insides like bulge out through that, and it gives us the appearance that we look pregnant even when we're not. And it also can cause things like back pain because your abs are having a strong core is actually what protects our back from overuse and back pain a lot of times. So if you are noticing back pain and you feel like I bloat so easily, like I drink a glass of water and I look pregnant, this is crazy. You might have diastasis recti, and basically what the rehab looks like for that, I definitely create programs like that for women because who wants to look pregnant after we've had babies? And who wants to have back pain? None of us. So basically you strengthen up your deep core abdominal muscles and you're very careful in doing activities that are going to make them bulge forward. So we strengthen in this progression that's very slow, very calculated, so that we are avoiding anything that is going to cause doming. So I have a couple videos here that I want to share with you. This is of me doing a couple of exercises, and you can kind of see that like bulging down the middle there. That is diastasis recti. That's what that looks like, and if you're noticing anything like that, that could be the reason why you're having a hard time getting those flat ab muscles again. Another huge barrier to exercising postpartum is that we just don't have enough time. Maybe we used to wake up early to work out and now our babies wake up at 6:30 every day. I mean, that's asking a lot to feed your baby during the night and to wake up before they wake up at 6:30 and work out, or at the end of the day after you're just fully exhausted, or maybe you try to work out during a nap and they wake up, or there's just a lot of reason why workouts are really tricky. And so again, this is where we have to have grace with ourselves because there is going to come a time where we have time to work out again. We can get back into those rhythms and we just have to do the best that we can. And I'm totally not saying just like give up and say screw it. Because I really am a big advocate for exercise because I think that it is good for our mental health. I think it is good to be strong so that we don't have pain when we're carrying around our children as they grow big. And I also think it's just important and relieving stress as well. And so there's, besides the long-term effects of like preventing stroke and stuff, all that down the road, but there's a lot of immediate things that we can get out of exercise. So speaking of exercise, let me just give you some insight into what my workouts look like and what I give women to do for workouts. First of all, I think strength training is really important, and I think it's important because, like I said, having a strong core, having a strong butt is going to help us be able to carry around our babies, to hold them on one hip without bad posture, to keep our shoulders back when we're breastfeeding, and relieve aches and pains that come along with motherhood. So that's why I think it's really important to be strong. The other thing is when you're thinking about weight loss, if you have lots of muscle, those muscles can be burning calories throughout the day, even when you are sitting and spending more time sitting than you used to or want to be because you're with your kids or you're breastfeeding or whatever. That muscle can kind of burn calories for you throughout the day. By the way, if you like this video and you are learning something from me, which I really, really hope that you are, don't forget to hit that little thumbs up because it really does help YouTube know that this stuff is awesome and it gives it to more women just like you. So don't forget to thumbs up if you like this. But when you're thinking about your workouts I think it's important to do a strength component, but I also think cardio is important too. So I like to do it in one of two ways. Either you do circuits where you do a couple things with strength and then you do cardio, like a minute of cardio, really intense cardio, and then you do a couple strength things and then cardio. Or at the end you do a 10-minute like cardio butt busting activity where you're going to get your heart rate up at the end, whatever that looks like for you. But that's kind of how I structure my workouts. I try to vary between like one day I'm going to focus on lower body, the next day I'm going to focus on upper body or back. And most days I do something that's a little bit specific for my core, but what I'm really preaching is that pretty much everything that we do in our workouts is going to involve our core. When we are squatting, when we are doing band exercise with our arms, we should have our core engaged during all those activities. So it's really not necessary to spend a bunch of time on just specific core workouts. And if you want more information on that, I'm going to be posting a video on that in 2 days. So if you already subscribe to my channel, you'll get a notification that a new video is out, but just know that there is another video coming about my opinion about planks and crunches, because I got a ton of questions about that, and there's just so many different ways to work your core. So here's a little sneak peek at what my workout looked like this week. Of me this week, 9 months postpartum, and even though I did core workouts during my pregnancy, I was active during my pregnancy. I'm a physical therapist that preaches being active. This is me at 9 months. You can kind of see some other pictures of me along my postpartum journey, as well as what I looked like when I was huge and pregnant the day I delivered my son. But you can just see here that even with somebody that is being very intentional about nourishing my body after having my baby, I didn't bounce back, and I assure you that some of these people you're seeing on Instagram are definitely the minority, or they're just wearing leggings and posing in just the right way that they look perfect. You are not the only one out there that is struggling with your postpartum body, so please have some grace with yourself today. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.